One, two, three, four, five, Big Gun, keep my favorite.
What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big John and G, the Two Gun Fix-It presents Legendary Gaming.
My number 5 favorite game played in 2022. Batman, the animated series by IDW Games. The main thing I love about this game, hands down, is how much it grabs me by the throat and throws me right into the middle of the animated series universe. I played other games based on the animated series, but none of them have actually made me feel like I am actively a part of, inside this universe, this world, this system. But this game really does. And it does it because it encapsulates everything about the series. Characters, from the heroes to the villains to even some of those that we gamers call NPCs. And it does it with a really fun gaming system that isn't hard to learn or to teach at all. And one of the aspects that really leaps out to me about this gaming system is how you do teamwork. How rolling the dice equals you sharing abilities with your fellow players, with your teammates. And a lot of games have tried to capture that genie in a bottle, so to speak, of really coming to terms with teamwork abilities and powers. And I think this is one of the best examples of a way to do it. This game's miniatures are absolutely gorgeous to look at, and if you're a painter unlike me, then you're going to be making some really beautiful, almost picture perfect miniatures to the TV series. They're molded absolutely, genuinely great. And if you're a fan of miniatures, you're going to really enjoy these, I think. But on top of everything else, what they're doing is they're bringing the game together visually for you. The game itself is just a lot of fun to play. It's going to harken back to watching the show. You're going to hear the theme song in your head while you're playing this game. And I really have enjoyed it, and that's why it is on my list of favorite games played in 2022. My number 4 favorite game played in 2022. Horrified, Universal Monsters by Ravensburger. Now, at this point, I've played a few games of the American Monsters version of Horrified, and I do find it to be really pretty much identical with differences. The difference of the monsters, the differences of the investigators and everything. But most of the game is really just the same game with a new overlay on it. And I'm not complaining about that. I actually enjoy that to the point where, although I don't have as many games of American Monsters under my belt as Universal, I'm going to include that in this number 4 slot. Number 4 to me is actually both of the currently available Horrified board games. But let me just talk about Universal Monsters because to see the classic Frankenstein, who's really a golem, if you think about it, a flesh golem, a cadaver golem, and Dracula, a werewolf. You could argue that in a very classic sense, even Invisible Man is kind of like a ghost because you can't see him, although he's not dead and he can't walk through walls. But still, they're all there. The Mummy is there. The Bride of Frankenstein is there. Even Gilman, the creature from the Black Lagoon. And what brings this game to life isn't just those fantastic and well-known characters, but how each and every one of them is going to be a different thing for you to tackle. It's going to be different ways for you to stop each of these monsters, that you're going to have to accomplish something else that you didn't do for one, or you're going to have to do that for the other one over here. And that's a great change. It makes it so it doesn't feel like you're doing the same exact thing over and over again just to deal with each of the different monsters. And their threat levels are different also, because what they can do does differentiate from one monster to the other, as you imagine that it should. They're not the same, and it comes across very well in this game, the individuality of each of these monsters. The cooperative teamwork in this game is also really fun. I enjoy the protection aspect of protecting villagers. And as I always say whenever I talk about this game, the most amazing aspect of it to me is that Abbott and Costello, because of the Universal movie Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, their characters, Chick and Wilbur, are in the game. It really adds an extra level of fun to someone like me who's such a huge fan of those two. Altogether, whatever one you play, whether you play the Universal or whether you're after cryptozoological monsters in the American Monsters Edition, like Bigfoot and Mothman and the Jersey Devil and others, whatever your feel is, you're going to have a really great experience at this game. It's not overly complicated, the miniatures look good, and the game runs smooth. Every single time I put it down at the table, which is quite often, I'm always having an excellent, amazing time. And that's why it's number 4 on my favorite list of games played in 2022. My number 3 favorite game played in 2022. Marvel Champions, the card game. Now, this is a living card game by Fantasy Flight Games. And I'm so happy it's not a collectible card game. The living card game is a growing card game. You're not chasing things down like you are with collectible card games. Each and every pack that comes out is the same pack. You know what's in it. You know what to expect. And I like that. I also like the fact that if you are a completionist like me, at least I am with certain things, and this is one of, if you're a completionist like me, it really feels like you have the Marvel Universe in your hands. The amount of characters that are available by this point, I mean, I'm filming this at the beginning of October, and I just did an unboxing for Mutant Genesis, for the Cyclops Hero Pack, and the Phoenix Hero Pack, and I have coming in the Wolverine and Storm. I'm currently waiting on. It is a continuing and growing system. So many, most, not all, but so many of the Avengers and Avenger-related characters have been released over the first couple of years, and now we're hitting with the mutants. And it builds up everything you know and love about Marvel Comics, about the Avengers, about the X-Men, and it brings it to life on your table. The villains are fantastic, and the way they're portrayed through the cards and what they do is not to be taken lightly, ever. Another good thing I like about this game is it's a solo game. I'm able to sit down and solo with 2 or more heroes, though you should have 3 at least. I break that rule and do 2. I'm bad. But no, you can play it with any number of heroes. If you really want to try playing it with 1, go ahead, play it with 1. Some do and have fun. It's there and it's available, and you can do it. You have these options of player numbers. You have these options of superheroes and supervillains. You have the options of different scenarios. Just picture it like a graphic novel. Scenarios are like playing through a Marvel graphic novel, and they're fantastic. And like the heroes and villains, they keep coming out. It's amazing. Anytime I want to, get a feel of one of my favorite superheroes, I just got to throw this game on the table, and I'm happy within minutes. That's why it's my number 3 favorite game played in 2022. My number 2 favorite game played in 2022. Return to Dark Tower. Restoration Games really hit this out of the park. as someone that grew up with the original Dark Tower, getting it when it first came out and having a deep love of it my entire life, I was waiting with bated anticipation for this. I kickstarted this immediately as soon as I could. The second it dropped, I got my email notification and I was there and I backed it. And I backed it at the best, highest level I could because I knew I needed everything. This is Dark Tower. How could I not? And I'm so glad I did. Now, it is not the original game. Do not buy this game if you want a recreation of the effects, the events, the feelings, the sensations that you had playing the original game. This is not it. It will not play the original game. But the game that it does play, the way the tower runs everything, is absolutely mesmerizing. I could play this game all day given the chance. And battery power. Yes, but the battery, I've never run out of battery power. I've never played more than 2 games in a row, but the batteries have remained strong. So I'm happy about that. This is an app game. I want to bring that up too. This is an app-driven game. You cannot play this game without an app, and that turns some people off. It turned me off for a long time. Just the concept of that. But getting it for this game, having it, I am so happy with it. I really love the whole idea of how the game is run, the way the app does everything, controls everything, keeps track of things. I'm loving it. I'm loving it so much. And with promises that it'll go public if they ever go bankrupt or out of business, just in order to keep this running, has me and all the other backers filled with tons and tons of hope. I can't talk about this game enough. I've done whole specials on this game. To condense it down to a couple of minutes is almost heartbreaking to me. But you're going to enjoy this game if you enjoyed the first one, but it's not the first one. It's going to play different. It's going to seem a little bit more complicated. But trust me, the app talks you through everything. So don't for a second feel it's too complicated at all. You're literally taught everything as the app goes on, as the game is playing. It's revealed to you, it's taught to you, and it becomes an amazing event that you're not going to forget. Replayability is really high, super high. The amount of different enemies that you have, plus combinations of monsters that you can put in with it, is mind-boggling. And the fact that it's growing, that it has 2 expansions out already, or 3 actually at this point right now that this video is dropping, right? It's got 3. The Covenant just dropped, making 3. It's got the Dark Horde. It's got the coffers. It's growing, is what I'm trying to say. It's continually growing. You're going to keep having new material. And all these reasons together, including nostalgia, is why Return to Dark Tower is my number 2 favorite game played in 2022. My number 1 favorite game played in 2022. Hero Quest. Hasbro went all out redoing the new Hero Quest to such a degree that they didn't redo anything. The core game is the exact same game. They reissued it, but with updated and better furniture, better terrain scatter, if you will. Really, the update looks great, but all of it is unpainted, which to me bothers me because I'm not a painter. But it still looks absolutely wonderful. The miniatures look great, the terrain looks great, and everything else looks exactly the way you would expect it to. The game plays exactly the way you would expect it to if you are familiar with the game to begin with. There's nothing new here. It is bringing you the same thing back once again. Now, to me, this is great because I lost my copy in a fire years ago, and I never had a chance to re-get it. So I went all in on this social funding project as well, and got everything. Got the extra expansions. There's more coming out. I'm getting everything that I can. Why? Because this game is worth being a completionist for. How else can I put it? I'm not trying to tell you how to spend your money, but I'm telling you how I'm spending mine. And why? Because it's worth it. If you're a hardcore board game collector like me, you can't afford to go all out on every single game. You can't be a completionist on every title that comes out. You have to pick and choose. This game is worth it. This is worth being a completionist over, because you want to grow with this game. You want to be a part of that growth. Just like an RPG, just like playing Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or Castles and Crusades, this is going to bring you that feeling. And it's a board game. And you don't even need a DM anymore. Storyteller, a Zargon player, if you will. You don't, because this game has an app. You don't need the app. You can play it without the app. But if you have the app, you have two options open to you. And that's, you can play solo, and the game is going to run as Zargon. Or you can play with your friends and not miss out, and let the app play as Zargon. That opens things up so much. It makes the game more playable, is what it does. If you really want that D&D, Castles and Crusades, Pathfinder, Tunnels and Trolls, Man, Myth, and Magic feel, but in a board game sense, this, I honestly think, does a better job than the Dungeons and Dragons cooperative adventure system does. And probably the only game that would come as close would be the Parker Brothers Dungeons and Dragons Fantasy Adventure board game that they came out with that coincided with 3rd edition. But other than the 2 small expansions, that never grew, so it hit a dead end. Now, if you're looking for that sensation in a board game, really, the only place you have to turn to is HeroQuest, I think. And that's why HeroQuest is my #1 favorite board game played in 2022.